Welcome, guys, to the fourth review of the Whispers of the Old Gods cards. And I am your host, of course. Let's dive right into it. That once again, the Amaz scoring scale 0 to 10. We'll see what each card is based on its power level, perceived power level, at least what I think it is, in both constructed, which is standard, and in arena, which is wild. Yeah. All right, and let's go ahead. The first card we have that's reviewed this week is the Mire Keeper. Mire Keeper is a 4-mana 3/3. And it says, choose one. Summon a 2/2 slime that doesn't have taunt. Okay, so not a Belcher slime. Or gain an empty mana crystal. So cast Wild Growth for free. So in a sense, if you look at it as just like a standalone, a 2/2 slime is kind of worth 2 mana or 1.5 mana kind of. And gain an empty mana crystal is kind of like Wild Growth. It's kind of worth 2 mana, kind of, not really. And this is really good because it has a versatile effect. If you cast it at turn 10, you don't have to be stuck with a gain and empty mana crystal, which is basically do nothing. You can summon a 2/2. A 4-mana 3/3 that summons a 2/2 is kind of like Silverhand Knight, which is a little bit better because it's a little bit cheaper. And sometimes maybe you want to ramp. I'm not really sure. But yeah, based on the versatility of the card, it's actually like reasonably okay. But then you compare it to the Druid cards that already exist right now, right? I mean, Keep the Grove is still better because it summons a 2/2 charge instead, right? Usually you Keep the Grove and kill Knife Juggler and you're really, really happy about it. And then, well, Shredder's going to be rotating out of the set, right? But, Yeti sometimes still may be better because if they actually, for example, deal 3 damage to Mire Keeper, like Wrath your Mire Keeper, you're left with a 2/2 compared to like a Yeti. If you Wrath a Yeti, you're left with a 4/2, for example, right? So like, in a sense, this might be versatile, but it's not too insane. I'll give this like a 5 out of 10 for arena. For constructed, I mean. Seems fine. Seems alright. But like it's good in decks like Savage Roar, and maybe Part of the Wild, and maybe like Soul of the Forest, maybe even. I'm not really sure if we can extend to that. But like a 3/3 that summons a 2/2 vanilla creature is not that good, I guess. You kind of have to want the option to gain an empty mana crystal. And ramping a turn 4 and playing a 3/3 sometimes might be a little bit too slow. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, it does have a little bit of promise, like, shows a little bit of promise, but it's not an insane card by any means, right? In Arena, oh my god, you have to pick this card, right? It's a much cheaper Silverhand Knight. You are definitely going to play this. You are it's pretty much not 3/3 that summons a 2/2. You're never going to gain an empty mana crystal in Arena. That's just really bad. Unless you're ramping up to like a 6-drop bomb. Like, I don't know, what's a super insane 6-drop? Like Toshli or something? And you have nothing that you have on your hand. So sometimes it'll come up, but most of the time it's going to be a 3/3 that summons a 2/2. And you're going to be pretty happy about it. Alright, next card we have is the Mage card. Kabbalist Tomb. It's an epic card. And it adds 3 random mage spells to your hand. Now, keep in mind that it functions differently from standard than in arena, right? Because in arena, you can get any mage spell in the game. But in standard, you are not going to be getting any GVG spells because they are not in standard, right? So you will not be getting, your... what's that called? You can get Dragon's Breath, but you're not going to get your Flame Cannon. What else is in GVG? It's weird. But basically, yeah, the subset on this card is going to be very different in standard. So if standard has very good mage spells, this will be better. If it doesn't have a lot of good mage spells, it'll be slightly worse. But all in all, because this is 3 random mage spells, and you really can't control what it is, I'm pretty much gonna give this a low rating because, like, what deck wants random mage spells? Okay, fine, the Flamewaker Temple Mage, right? So Flamewaker Temple Mage might want random spells. But now you think about it, it's like, okay, it's 5 mana, do nothing. And if you 5 mana, do nothing, I mean, as in like on the board, right? You cast this, you do something else at the turn after. That is not the definition of Temple Mage. That is the definition of just like nourish, right? And when you nourish, you kind of draw cards. and you have to give up board for a better turn next turn, and that's just not what Mage wants to do. And sometimes you might just get things that are wildly just not what you want. For example, if you get like an Ice Block, a Vaporize, and you get an Arcane Missiles, those are like 3 completely separate, different spells that it doesn't work. One interesting thing is that you could add a Kabbalist Tomb after playing this and just keep on casting Kabbalist Tomb. It's just endless cycle and just get it again. It's kind of like the Tomb Spider, right? Where you can discover a Tomb Spider and then you can use that Tomb Spider to discover Tomb Spider. And because of that exact reason, this is infinite value in Arena. So this is insane in Arena. I would always draft this in Arena. Because, I mean, just, it's a super arcane select, right? The chances of getting like a Pyroblast, a Flame Strike, and stuff like that. Like, the card quality is going to be so much higher than what you draft. You're going to see this be played in Arena quite a bit. Not too much because it's an epic, so you're not going to draft it as often. But in Arena, it's definitely a bomb. It's a win condition. It's going to be so good. But in Constructed, it's going to be, I can't imagine this being like, a staple because of the randomness and just like the wild function is not too exciting. That's just what it is. Alright. Next up we have a Paladin card. It's the Vilevin Inquisitor. Battle cry, your hero power becomes summon a 1/1 Murloc, and just based on logic, I guess, the hero power is still gonna be 2 mana. Right? If it's gonna be 1 mana, then it's gonna be completely different. If it's gonna be 0 mana, then what the heck is happening in the game? It is an epic card, and the 1/1 Murloc, I believe, I'm not really sure what the 1/1 Murloc is gonna be. Mana cost wise, it might be the Tiny Fin, because it's the only 1/1 Murloc in the game right now. The other 1/1 Murloc is the Murloc. Scout, right, from Murloc Tidehunter, but that costs 0 mana, so it might have some interesting interactions with like cost stuff, but otherwise, let's just say it's a 2 mana hero power that summons a 1/1 Murloc, right? That by itself is not enough for this card to be good. Aggro does not want to play this aggro Murloc because they want to curve out anyways. And in anything can happen, they don't want to play this because anything can happen. It's very specific. You want the charge minions, you want the Murloc war leaders, you do not want the 1/1s that don't do anything, right? So it's kind of bad. In Arena, it's a tiny bit better, I guess, because you can, for example, play this on turn 5. You can play, turn 5, 1/3. Oh no, turn 5 you hero power, and then you play this, and then you can press the hero power again, effectively making like a 3/5 kind of. Which is still kind of very bad. Another way you can abuse this is that it's like a Garrison Commander, right? So you can play Murloc Knight, right? Hero power, Vilevin, and then hero power again. It's kind of like you can use your hero power twice this turn, right? So, a little bit of funky interactions there, but at the end of the day, it's not enough to push this, over. Maybe in Arena it's a little bit better, just because it can double Inspire. But, yeah, I mean, look at the art. She doesn't even have legs. She's a mermaid, But yeah, a little bit worse, I guess. All right, onwards to, oh my god, the class that received the most cards in this week. It's the Shaman. Yeah. First card we have the Thing from Below. Thing from Below. Oh my god, it does not look like something you want to hug or kiss or eat. It just looks like what the heck is that? Anyways, 6 mana 5/5. It has taunt no matter what you do, and it will cost 1 less for each totem you summon this game. So it's kind of like a Sea Giant in that not Sea Giant, but Frost Giant in that sense. It gets cheaper even though it's not in your hand. So it's not like Night of the Wild or Bovar where you have to have it in your hand. So it's always gonna get value. And not only does it work on your hero power, because hero power is a summoned totem, it also works on Totem Golem. It also works on your Mana Tides, your Flame Tongues, and stuff like that. And also it works on your Tuskar Totemics, which summons a totem no matter what, right? So this might be even, it's really realistic that this is going to be a 4 mana taunt. And you can actually cast it on turn 4 sometimes. Because of your Totem Golems, your Tuskar Totemics and whatnot. And if it actually goes to like 2 mana and you can double dip it, it gets pretty insane, right? So in that sense, it's gonna be pretty playable and constructed. The 7 of 10. That's a pretty nice score there. The fact that you can actually have 2 of these in the same deck is actually crazy, because if you cast them both for like 2 mana or even for 1 mana or something like that is your board. That is the board for you. Very, very powerful. And in Arena, it's pretty much the same thing, right? In Arena, it's compared to Lord of the Arena, right? Lord of the Arena is 6 mana, 6/5. And for this, you're only paying 1 attack for the chance to become like much cheaper. And that risk is very, very worth the reward. And Lord of the Arena is actually not a bad card in Arena to begin with, right? I mean, it doesn't really do too much, but the fact that this has Taunt in Arena is really, really strong. It protects your other totems. And yeah, 5/5 Taunt, very, very good. 5 health is 5 health doesn't die to 4 damage spells, and that's very, very relevant because there are a lot of spells that deal 4 damage. So yeah, good card. Good card. Another good card, oh my god, that Shaman is getting is the Hammer of Twilight. Hammer of Twilight, 5 mana weapon, a 4/2. Pretty much Despite or True Silver Champion. Worth of value. But the death rattle on this card is you get a 4/2 as well. So you pretty much you get 3 4/2s ish kind of. The first 4/2 is a charge. The second 4/2 is also a charge, and then when it dies, you get another 4/2 kind of, right? Because weapon is kind of like charge. I mean, it's kind of like Arcane Golem, right? In a sense. And you take some damage in your face. And oh my god, the value of this card is like off the charts, right? There's just so much packed on here. And for the fact that like it's a 5 mana weapon that doesn't overload, means that Fire Elemental can actually come down turn 6, right? I mean, a lot of mid-range shamans kind of shy away from Doomhammer, because when you play Doomhammer, you have to play a 4-drop next turn. And that makes your curve very awkward, because Fire Elemental is such a good card, right? But with this, you can actually play this, kill something, and then turn 6, Fire Elemental, kill something, hammer down, kill something, and then summon another 4/2. So you're left with a 6/5 and a 4/2, and you kill 2 creatures. Wow! That is pretty nice. Alright, we're gonna give this a very high rating and constructed. It's just, sometimes it's even better to Doomhammer, because Doomhammer, right, it hits the face for 4, and sometimes this hits the face for 4 too. Like, it's completely fine. And the 4/2 that gets summoned from a effect is much better than playing a 4/2 yourself, right? So yeah, very, very nice. In Arena, this is a no-brainer. You pick this every single time. Weapons are already insane in Arena. And for this to actually get you a minion as well as kill 2 things, Jesus Christ. You just pick this in Arena. It's like an auto pick. So freaking good. Alright, you have to draft this in Arena. It'll be like... It will just be bad. Like, Shamans are getting so many good cards in Arena. They might actually be good now, because with the new set, you also get a bonus to drafting cards. So Whispers of the Old Gods cards would appear more in drafting. So Shaman might just be really, really good now. Because we have one more surprise for you. The Master of Evolution, or the Evolution, I guess. Not evil. Master of Evolution. It's a 4 mana 4/5 Yeti already. And we have a Battle Cry. Transform a friendly minion into a random one that costs 1 more. Which means that it is a positive effect. Right. The last time we see positive effects in cards that do not have a stat penalty would be like Mounted Raptor, would be like Dark Cultist and stuff like that. And those cards are pretty good. They're not too insane constructed, because you do have to build around it. But this card, you do not have to build around it. I mean, come on, right? You can use it on your totems. Totems cost 1 mana, so you can effectively turn a totem, your hero power, into a 2-drop. So you can turn a 0/2 totem into like a 2/3. Or a 3/2. And that is just the beginning of the juice on this card, right? It's just the beginning. You have you can transform your Spirit Wolves into something else. You can transform your 5-drops into 6-drops, and wow. Imagine if you can transform like what's a good 5-drop? Like the Thing from Below, right? Imagine if your Thing from Below kills something, right? And then you transform it into a Sylvanas. or Kang, or what's a good Emperor, you know, or Ogre even, right? And you still get a 4/5. That's a good card. Okay, that is a pretty good card. Uh, just it's just you can just play it by itself. Like a 4 mana 4/5 is completely fine. 5 health, really good, right? It's really really good. This card's really good. And in arena, oh, in arena it's so good. I mean, like in arena there's a lot of trading involved, right? There's a lot of ogres, like Bodifist ogres 6/7 that kills like a 5/5, and then your opponent kills the 6/2 afterwards. Like that happens so often. And for this to just be like, oh, let's make it a little bit stronger, it's just so good. Right? It's so good. So good. There's two things I want to mention with this card as well. The first one is that we don't really know what it does if it transforms a 10 mana minion or like a mountain giant, stuff like that, right? So basically, if you target this on a Deathwing, right? There's no 11 mana cost card. So one theory is that if there's no such thing that exists, it just does the same thing. So for example, if you put a Deathwing, you just transform into another 10 mana creature, like a Varian Ruin or something, which kind of makes sense, I guess. And the second thing would be, didn't I predict this before? Yeah? Yeah. Didn't I predict this, guys? Yeah? Alright. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go to my YouTube, youtube.com. And then we're gonna do Amaz Death Knight Concepts. Okay. Amaz Death Knight Concepts. Okay. Let's go ahead and scroll this to... Oh, wait. Okay, 1 second. Oh, wait. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Oh, that's me? That's me making a Death Knight card. Dark Transformation. Transform a minion into a random minion with 1 additional cost. Smart Blizzard. Taking notes from this smart guy. Yeah! Alright, but yeah, this is a really good card. It's going to be very exciting. Alright, onwards. So once again, yeah, Shaman's getting 3 good cards. Alright? It's insane in arena, maybe insane constructed. But once again, the disadvantage of playing those cards is that you have to play Shaman. So we'll see. Next card we have is the Warrior card. Battlecry, deal 1 damage to all other minions as a Ravaging Ghoul, and it's a 3 mana 3/3. So it is effectively a free Whirlwind, and it doesn't damage itself. So it's always going to be a 3/3. Very very strong in a meta with a lot of 1 health creatures, right? So for example, you are playing against aggro, right? And they have a lot of 1 health creatures, and you're playing a warrior. Well, you would want to play this card because at worst you get a 3/3, right? And at best you kill 2 creatures or even a lot, and you deal damage to them. So really really strong. And of course you do want this card to be in a patron deck, for example, right? Or something like that. Maybe in a Froggy deck as well. So as long as you can synergize with this card, plus you get an extra benefit of maybe killing aggro, like this is a very fine card. But for the fact that we don't really know what the state of patron is going to be, right? Because this is 3 mana at the end of the day, right? There's no Whirlwind, there's no Inner Rage. And we don't, and the fact that Paladin is getting rotated out of the set because they're losing muster for battle, so we're not going to see a lot of 1/1s. We're gonna start this off as a very low rating. It's still a good card. I mean, like it works on your acolytes. Deal 1 damage to all your enemy creatures is kind of like in Dread Inferno style, but we don't really know what the set is, and this might just be a deck card. If people are just gonna play mid range and like old god stuff, right? It's just not that powerful. You could also look at this as a 3/4 that damages itself, so you could compare it to like Dark Cultist, Raptor and stuff like that. But when you do that, well, there's a problem because Raptor and Dark Cultist don't see too much play because there are a build around, right? It's so weird that like in Constructed, a 3 mana 3/4 does not make the cut because it's just not strong enough, right? You just want to play those good minions like Aldo Peacekeeper, like Mounted Raptor, cards that actually, like Imp Boss, for example, right? The cards that always get you the value, and Ravager Ghoul sometimes just doesn't do that quite often. So it's still a good card, but I wouldn't say it's insane. In Arena, it's pretty good. It nukes down Paladins. Sometimes it actually trades well for 3/4s or even like 4/4s, for example. Sometimes you get additional value out of it, and sometimes you also can't play it. Well, the chance of you not being able to play this is a little bit smaller because, warrior minions are generally a little bit more powerful. But yeah, not too crazy. All right, another Cthulhu card is released. It's a 6-mana 7/6 Skaram Cultist. That's like a 6-mana 7/6, kind of like a Mech Bear Cat, kind of, right? We still don't know what's happening with BGH, so we're not sure. But it's it's a vanilla creature, kinda gives you Cthulhu, so you might want to include this in your Cthulhu deck. But then you look at this and you go like, oh, it's a 6-mana 7/6, and you go like, nope, I don't want to play this, right? The point of Cthulhu decks is that you're still playing reasonable creatures while buffing your Skaram Cultist. A very good example of a good Cultist card would be Cthulhu's Chosen, which is 4-mana 4/2 Divine Shield, right? That's a very good card because it trades well, it applies a lot of pressure as Divine Shield, so it doesn't really die. But this one, we just don't know what BGH is. If BGH is nerfed, this is slightly better. But like a 6-mana card, you can do so much more, right? Like, you can do so much more than just give your Cthulhu +2/+2. Like, the text is pretty bad. And of course, it doesn't apply in Arena because you cannot draft this card in Arena. So I would say this is a pretty bad card. And for it to be a rare, well, some packs are going to be sad because when you open this in a pack, you're going to go like, oh, well, that's kind of disappointing. Not excited about this card at all. And then we have the second neutral card. With two more cards, right? We have the Ancient Harbinger. 6-mana 4/6. And it's all purple and glowy and stuff like that. At the start of your turn, put a 10-cost minion from your deck into your hand. So you're drawing the card if it lives, right? So if it lives, you draw a card. 6-mana 4/6. 6-mana 4/6, you're paying a little bit more mana. Because 4/6s are 5 mana, and 6-mana cards usually have an extra effect that is very, very powerful. And this one, like, the text is not that good, right? The problem with this card is that you have to draw it next turn. There are no 6-mana cards that draw a card outside of the, what's it called? The one that draws your Paladin card. The 6-mana 5/5, right? I forgot the name for some reason. I'm usually really good at names, but I don't remember. But yeah, the problem is that you have to let this live a turn. The second problem is if you have a 10-cost minion, why do you want to draw it? Like, you're gonna draw it like sooner or later, right? You do not need a card to fish for it, right? Sure, actually, there's a lot of flavor in this card because it synergizes with the Old Gods, right? You could also, kind of use it with Deathwing, Viren Rin, or something like that. But the fact that when you play a deck that has 10-cost minions, you do not need to fish for it. You're going to draw it sooner or later. Yeah. So I don't see this being played and constructed. If I'm going to play a Cthulhu deck or a Yasharaj deck or a N'Zoth deck, I'm just going to draw it naturally. I do not need to play a bad minion just to get it so that I assure that myself to play it, right? Because even when you play Old Gods deck, you don't need to cast Old Gods to win the game. Sometimes you just win the game regardless, right? Like, for example, if you're playing a N'Zoth Paladin deck, you're playing Sylvanas and Tyrion and stuff like that already. You don't need to necessarily summon them again. So yeah. In Arena is terrible. I mean, how often are you going to draft a 10-mana card? Alright, 6-mana 4/6 is fine-ish. I mean, you would 6-mana 4/6 is fine as the stat line, but you're just playing for that, right? You're just playing it as a vanilla creature, and when you compare that to Boulder Fist Ogre, you compare to like your Draconite Crusher, falls a little bit short, And finally, the third Old God is here. What can I say? Yasharaj. He looks the best out of the all four as well, because I mean, come on, like eyeballs and tentacles are not that good, and this guy at least has a face, you know, and his claws are pretty cool. So we have a 10 mana 10/10. 10 mana 10/10. This is like the first one, right? I don't believe we have any 10 mana 10/10s before. Yashar's Rage Unbound. At the end of your turn, put a minion from your deck into the battlefield. So you basically get a Death Lord effect at the end of your turn. So no matter what happens to this creature, you do proc it, right? That's compared to the card just now that you have to wait till the start of your turn, right? So this is fine. It's a 10/10 that you basically fish a card. If you fish a card like Ragnaros, for example, that would be pretty nutsos. But then the fact that most decks you have to kind of curve out well. Like you have to play 2-drops, you have to play 3-drops and whatnot. Makes this card a little bit worse. This also makes Battlecry minions a little bit worse. For example, if you have to play like Argent Protector, Bomb Lobber, even stuff like Reno Jackson, right? Sometimes you just miss out on the Battlecries. And in that case, Constructed is not going to be too insane. You could try and cheat this out and just play cards that do not have Battlecries, or like cards that have a pretty good standalone, for example, like Sylvanas or something like that. You could also make a deck like Astro Communion Druid, for example. This is going to be pretty dirty in Astro Communion Druid, right? A 10/10 that summons a 7/8 taunt or 8/8 taunt or something like that. That's going to be pretty nutsos. You could also play this in a Control Warrior deck, for example. Like that's completely fine. You could put something silly. So there are some decks that really want this, but the fact that you have to very, very specifically play around this card might make this a little bit awkward in deck building. In Arena, oh baby, why would you not want this in Arena? Wow, perfect card in Arena. Perfect win condition. Your opponent can't kill this because it's a 10/10. And every time they don't kill it, you just rage all over them. Yeah. The best card in Arena. I can't imagine not drafting this. Like, just no. This card is just so good, so good. 10/10. How do they kill this? They can't. 10/10. Right? They just can't. And if you actually pull a taunt minion from this effect, yeah, that's nuts. And there's a lot of situations where your opponent only has 1 minion when you play this. Yep, this card is just too good. This card is just nuts. All right, and that is the end of the 10 cards. Yeah, when they come up with more cards, we'll make another video, of course. If they actually what's it called? Release cards on schedule this time. We're gonna have another on Friday. So that's gonna be very cool. And once again, Friday you should tune into the House Cup. That is the Archon House Cup, episode 1, House of Amaz. We're gonna have 8 players, and they're gonna be playing a lot of not constructed Hearthstone. They're gonna be playing a lot of interesting Hearthstone things. So make sure you tune in then. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. We'll see you in the next review.